For LSU, it was embarrassing enough to get their coach fired. So I guess we could talk about that now. We
Yeah.
know how I felt about the Brian Kelly thing. I talked about it last week when they got dominated, I thought, by Vanderbilt, a game closer than it probably should have been. I think there is a real conversation to be had about the complete opposite directions that both of these SEC coaches are going in. One's building something really special at a school that has been starving for it for many, many years, and the other is losing a grip on what he was believed to have. That being Clark Lee and Brian Kelly. I think we start with Clark Lee because he worked under Kelly at Notre Dame as a defensive coordinator, took the head coaching job at Vanderbilt. They were the doormat when Clark Lee got to this program. And now they look like a team that has structure. You mentioned it. They've got a certain edge and an attitude to them that is hard to stop and hard to out confidence, I think. They've built an identity there. And I mean, from a progression standpoint, he's developed Diego Pavia into a guy that's now doing the Heisman pose in the end zone, and he's saying he's the best player in college football. I mean, the guy's accounted for 25 total touchdowns through just 7 games. Lee said after the game, like, we've earned the right to celebrate, but this game won't define our season. That's something big. Vanderbilt was rushing the field when they beat Alabama. They didn't even think about doing it this time because they're growing into something new and knowing what this program can be. That's something that a coach that's building for something bigger sustains success. And on the other side with Brian Kelly, that is the other side. A team loaded with talent, a former top 10 ranking. They had a guy in Garrett Nussmeier who came back to school to hopefully try to lead LSU to a national championship and find himself high up on the NFL draft boards after this season. 5-star athletes everywhere. They're sitting at 5-2. Brian Kelly's 5-10 versus ranked teams at LSU. Their offense is a must, right? We talk about death, taxes, LSU offense. That's usually how it goes. Well, LSU, the Tigers have been rocking with death and taxes all year long. 4 red zone trips against Vanderbilt, all field goals. Can't do that. And in Kelly's postgame, we've seen this time and time again from Brian Kelly. He said we had opportunities, we just didn't cash in on them, which is kind of the point. Like, I feel frustration for the LSU fans because I had seen it following Notre Dame for as long as I had. Like, this is what you signed up for with Brian Kelly. And at what point does we didn't cash in on him become your identity? Because I feel like that's the pit that LSU might be falling into now. And if years ago, if I had said this, I probably would have laughed. But now, I mean, Clark Lee's growing something really elite at Vanderbilt, and Brian Kelly's underachieving. And if you don't believe me, check the scoreboard in Nashville. That's how I feel about that situation. I feel for LSU fans. But Kelly out the door now at LSU. What was your initial thought when you heard this news from Baton Rouge?
My initial thought was, wow, Brian Kelly just got paid because I know his buyout, I think, was like 60
Yeah, like
million,
the
something
best position to
absurd.
be in ever right now is just to be a college football coach and get canned because you get
Yeah,
bread.
well, because when they fired him, when they hired him over from Notre Dame, they obviously had to give him a very enticing contract with very, very much so favorable to see him to leave Notre Dame. My thoughts are, I don't know. You can't have a Heisman winner and not make the playoff. There's some certain things that I just think have happened during the Brian Kelly era that kind of just had to. I think it had run its course, and also if you wait too long and you want to fire him at the end of the season, you don't get your guy, right? Because now there's 2 big dogs in the coaching hiring market, and that's Penn State and LSU, and there might be a few more in terms
Yeah.
of Auburn and stuff like that. So like, I don't want to say it was needed or necessary, but I feel like LSU fans feel like it was needed and necessary at this time for them to be able to get the right guy to move on, and their AD likes to go hire the big names, so I'm interested to see who they go and try to hire this offseason.
Yeah, they're coaching carousel at this point, right? It's Florida, it's LSU, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, UCLA, Arkansas, Stanford, Oregon State, Dilfer at UAB got fired. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. I guess of those top schools, do you think LSU now with this head coaching opening just goes right to the top? Do you think they're that level with the Penn States and the Florida in the mix? Because I think it's kind of without a doubt LSU is the top open job in the country.
I think it's in between LSU and Florida. When you look historically, I think it's between those two. Those are the 2 best head coaching gigs right now that are available. And I'm going to be really, really enticed and interested to see who one of those programs, who both of them hire, honestly. Like, it's going to be for Penn State, though, I've got to feel like, Penn State probably feels like, oh, we made our splash firing, and then now they probably like, damn it, like we fired Franklin a little too early because then everybody
Yep.
else is firing their guy. Because if you're Penn State, I think you're third on the totem pole. I hate to say that, but I
Yep.
think
It's the
I would
truth.
put LSU and Florida ahead of Penn State, and even in terms of like just where they are as a program. And I'm excited to see who these programs hire. I hope nobody hires John Summerall though, because I still want him to be an Auburn Tiger. So I'm just holding out hope for right now.
Yeah, I think that's you and most share that opinion.